Alright, my heretics, gym time is over. Gotta keep those tentacle arms strong, you know. But it is now time to continue my series on the updated CSM Codex. Last time around, we went into the juicy new HQ options and hyped it up with all the new Chaos Smash Lords. But today, we're gonna be reviewing the troops and elites choices. I can't really review just the troops since our choices are very limited in that department, and it would make for an extremely short video, so there we are. Fair warning though, there is gonna be some salt. Now let's get to it. There is some contention the troops choices now, as G-dubs have been going at it again on their endless crusade to remove cultists from the game. I don't really understand why they even bother with changes and don't just tell us, hey, cultists no longer exist in the Codex, go fuck yourselves. But they nerfed them again. Chaos cultists, who now cost 5 points a pop, just like the Imperial Guard veterans, while carrying inferior weaponry, skills, and armor, also no longer benefit from Chaos Legion traits. But hey, we already knew that, didn't we? What we didn't already know, however, is that cultists can no longer be taken in squads of 40. Yeah, that's right. They had to go ahead and nerf that too. You can only take cultists in your armies as squads of 10 to 30. Why? I'm sure they think that's the right way to make people use Chaos Space Marines, and I'm just as sure that they're 1. Fucking stupid as all fucking shit, fuck you dumb fucks, and 2. Completely wrong. Try maybe buffing the poor dick-suck tactical, seriously, what the fuck even? I don't know a single Chaos player who's ever gone, yes, now that my cultists are a lot weaker, my Chaos Space Marines, who are absolutely worthless, are a good choice. Not a single one. And I'm guessing that applies to most of you as well. Otherwise, the cultists have no new options as far as war gear goes, but they do have the option to benefit from the Cult of the Damned, the new specialist detachment. I personally think the Cult of the Damned is fairly lackluster, since it relies on buffing cultists exclusively, but hey, make of that what you will. Now before I suffer a fucking aneurysm, let's move on to our second relevant-ish troop choice, the Dicksock Tacticals. Our Chaos Space Marine squads have stayed exactly the same, identical. Still 13 points a pop, still carrying their bolters and shitty 1 wound, still without access to chainswords in addition to the bolters. I'm doing my best trying to find a spot for these in my armies. I've tried using them as medium and small squads as of now, and they've never really done anything noteworthy. I'm even gonna go as far as to try 20-man squads of them, and probably get stumped while doing so. But make no mistake, even though I wanna like them, there's nothing positive about the Marines right now. The special weapons they can take are decent, but the new buffed Havocs, or even the Chosen, make for much better bearers of special weapons, and when it comes to heavy weapons, there's no real point to have them on CSM. Now to be fair, I've had moderate results in a tournament using them to camp objectives and basically being 4 bullet catchers and a guy with a last cannon, but not much else. The one little benefit they've gotten thus far is that they can now provide us with more command points with fielded as Red Corsairs, and I'm expecting to see them used in minimum squads to fill a battalion at least a couple of times, as after all, Chaos is pretty command point hungry and we could use every little bit. While the Marines, as long as you don't want them to do anything whatsoever in combat, can make for acceptable backline objective huggers, despite the low amount of wounds we can field, due to cover benefiting us greatly. Now moving on, we do technically have the 4 basic lesser demon troops options in our codex, namely the Bloodletters, the Demonettes, Plague Bearers, and Horrors, but those will mostly still play as part of separate demons detachments, since demon characters grant great benefits to them. So we're gonna skip those in this review, since there's no point to them. The same skip will affect both Rubric Marines and Plague Marines, as we do have them available as elite choices, but they are better represented in their own codices with the Thousand Sons and respectively the Death Guard Heretics. So let's get started with the elite choices specific to Chaos Space Marines. Due to my personal douchebag bias, we're gonna start with the Khorne Berserkers. Now these guys are my absolute favorite unit of all goddamn time, and well, they pretty much stay the same. You can put plasma pistols on 2 of them in a squad and on the champion, but you ain't gonna do that. You're gonna put a chainsword and a chain axe on every berserker for maximum blood for the blood god. I'm gonna set you back 17 points per model equipped like this, and I personally like to add a power fist to the champion since he'll be swinging for a lot of attacks with a great base strength of 5. The Berserkers are quite unstoppable in melee, and I don't really think there's a single unit a big horde of these guys can't take down. But all of that doesn't matter a whole lot, considering that any reasonable player will easily shoot these guys off the table, since we don't really have a delivery system. Technically, we can use the Forge-rolled Chaos Drop Pods, but those are so overcosted, I would honestly call them unusable. Hard pass. Now, speaking of overcosted units, let's talk about the next Elite's choice, the Noise Marines. Oh man, this unit is an emotional roller coaster. You see the base model cost and go, Then you see their awesome Sonic Blasters and Blastmasters and get hyped like whole goddamn shit. And then you notice that every Sonic Blaster costs 4 points. So you decide to set yourself, your house, your miniatures, your whole existence on fire because that's fucking unfair. Seriously, Noise Marines are delightfully shooty. With their Sonic Blasters, a big horde of these guys would put out a ridiculous amount of cover ignoring shot. Problem is, they'll cost 19 points per guy. They've words. I think the warp is overtaking me right now. They've received pretty much 0 changes, just like the Berserkers. I don't really see these guys seeing any more tables than they have thus far, but god damn, I wish that wasn't the case. I just like these guys, they're cool as all fuck. Anyway, further down the road of our elites, we get the Chosen. Now, the Chosen are, all in all, a pretty awesome unit, and I would honestly recommend you play your default Chaos Space Marine models as Chosen. Why? Because for an extra point, the Chosen get better leadership, twice the number of attacks, and get to wield both the Chainsword and the Bolter. If you want to, you can even take smaller squads of 5 Chosen, where each one of them has a Combi Bolter for 16 points a model. While the Chosen have not been changed, if you are going to look for a decent infantry unit in your army, this would be it. They don't particularly excel in any domain, but they can do okay in most. These won't be wrecking the tables all over the world, but they're at least usable. Unlike our Terminators. Man, Terminators. They got cool new models too, but they still kinda suck. At the cheapest, a Terminator model will cost 29 points with Combi Bolter and Chain Axe, which I guess is okay compared to its former obligatory Power Axe loadout, but man, these guys are a letdown. They've gotten their own little Black Legion detachment and new weapon options, so you might see some of these in your local tables, but I wouldn't expect much of them. Sadly, their toughness 4 makes Terminators an overall terrible unit considering how costly they are and just how prevalent 2 damage weaponry is in the game, just as the Tau. But it is what it is. I only own 10 of these and rarely use them for fun games with expenses as hell loadouts, and they don't really do a whole lot most of the time. Moving on to our Dreadnoughts, Hellbrutes are actually kinda good if you ask me. They're not the unit that define games or dramatically swing battles, but they're costed very well, at a mere 60 points per default model, with a very wide array of weaponry. At the cheapest, you could equip a Hellbrute with a Reaper autocannon and missile launcher for a measly 90 point model that can reliably kill a few things here and there, while staying at a safe distance, or shave some health off a big vehicle from the same distance. Alternately, you can equip a missile launcher and lascannon on them for nice fire support at a cost of 105 points. The less reliable but still usable alternative is the melee Hellbrute, which comes with 5 attacks if equipped with 2 melee weapons, and only costs 100 points when equipped with 2 fists. I mean, they can pay extra points for the Combi Bolters, they're pretty good. One funny change to Hellbrutes in this update, however, is that you can now replace both of its fists with either a hammer or a power scourge. Now this will be in no way cost effective, but you technically can make a Hellbrute wield 2 power scourges for 11 baseline attacks at strength 8, minus 2 AP, 2 damage. This is of course buffable and subject to Wrath of Khorne, and if you're lucky enough, even the Hellbrute's creates special rule, making for extreme tentacle violence upon whatever poor enemy your Hellbrute touches. Overall, Hellbrutes will still see some play as they tend to be reliable and cheap fire support, with a little bit of RNG added in there. Hell, I'm building my own brother Tentacles right now. Stapled onto our least choices, we also have the Fallen. The Fallen are pretty much the same as Chosen as far as points cost go, but with slightly different weapon options, and a rule that allows them to reroll their hit rolls of 1 if they didn't move. That synergizes well with the new Bolter Discipline rule, and we might see more Fallen on tables since they get their new detachment, with added Sorcerers, Rhinos, and a new rule for Cypher. That being said, they won't really be game changers, and I'm gonna assume they're gonna be there mostly for fluff. Honestly, pretty neutral about this one. Now the other irrelevant units, we got our Mutilators. Oh, Mutilators. Boy oh boy. This unit is like the dumpster fire that won't stop burning. For 35 points a model, you get an extremely slow, deep striking unit with decent tank stats and random melee modifiers. D3 extra strength, minus D3 AP, and D3 damage. And only 3 attacks a pop. They aren't super expensive, and I don't think they're utterly worthless either. They just don't really have a role that I can see. You can only have 3 of them in a squad, so you don't really get to turn them into a death ball with buffs and whatnot. Nor are they mobile in any way, nor can you guarantee their charges in any way. They're generally gonna deep strike, fail to charge, then angrily waddle towards the nearest enemy while being ignored, since they'll never reach anyone when a movement's out of 4 inches. Seriously guys, 4 inches just isn't enough. Seriously. And since we've degenerated into dick jokes, let's just open up about the last, but most likely the strongest elite choice in our whole codex. With the new options we get, that is. The Possessed. Now, Possessed by themselves are just 20-point models with decent movement speed, decent strength, unreliable number of attacks, and a nice 2 wounds and 5-up invuln save. Nothing too great or too bad. The incredible part starts when you realize that you can take them in squads of 20, and, because they're demons, they can benefit from demonic herald buffs and loci, as well as Chaos Mark specific stratagems and psyker powers. Now generally, these support abilities will be limited, and therefore balanced, since you can only pick 1 mark of Chaos. Only that now, we're no longer limited to that. With the new Black Legion stratagem called Chosen of the Pantheon, you can grant any squad all marks of Chaos. For the Possessed, this basically translates into Become Death fucking Incarnate, as they can now fairly easily gain a -2 to be hit, warp time, advance, charge after advancing, gain a total of +4 strength from the 4 Gods Heralds, 5-up feel no pain, fight twice, and everything else under the sun. Unless this change is somehow chopped down in its pregnancy via some errata, the Possessed will just dominate. Seriously, I don't really think I could envision many units as overpowered as a Possessed squad buffed with all of these things. Just imagine it. You would take the firepower of a whole fucking army and just keep moving. Like, these guys will easily have a 3-up invuln. Holy fuck. The downside to this is, of course, you would need to build an army around them. But Chaos has excellent support effects, and these Possessed can now benefit from almost every single buff at the same time, turning into what is basically a 7th edition Death Ball. They're just gonna roll over people. Yes, I'm goddamn hyped about it. I only own 5 Possessed right now, but oh man, that is gonna change as soon as goddamn possible. Right, so that's it for today. I'm about to go be nerdy for some nerdy fuck for most of the weekend, and I really hope you guys are gonna enjoy yours just as well. See you next time.